Hey everybody, welcome to a Strata Prime webinar on security with Google. I'm Andrew Livingstone, CTO of Strata Prime, and I'm joined today by Jose Rossi. Jose, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Jose Rossi with the ChromeOS team here in Canada. I'm a solutions engineer, and today we're going to be talking a lot about security. We're coming to you live here from the Toronto Google office, which is a new office, and we're welcoming Strata Prime here.
Thanks. Yeah, and on the agenda today, we actually have Chrome Enterprise Premium and Chromebook Plus to cover with you, so it's going to be great. Okay, Jose, so let's start with Chrome Enterprise Premium.
Yep.
New product offering from Google, but it's actually something that's been around for a little while.
It is. The name indicates something else, but you're going to tell us a little about the story.
That's right. So let's talk about it. So Chrome Enterprise Premium is actually a rebrand of BeyondCorp Enterprise. So if you are a BeyondCorp Enterprise customer, you are now a Chrome Enterprise Premium customer, and you will see that your licenses have been updated in your admin console. But Google always has some surprises in there for us. So there are some new features and some new integrations. So we're going to break it down.
So, Andrew, can you tell us a little bit more about Chrome Enterprise?
Yeah, so with Chrome Enterprise Premium, what Google's done is they've actually broken browser security into tiers. So now, in its unmanaged form, Chrome is just called Chrome. So if you don't have any policies, you're using it on a personal account, that's referred to as Chrome.
Yes.
Now, if you're using it in a managed environment where you're applying policies in the Google admin console to Chrome, such as an update policy, maybe you're blocking access to some URLs, that's now called Chrome Enterprise Core. And it used to be called Chrome Browser Cloud Management for those that have been around the ecosystem for a little while. So that's now our middle tier, which represents a managed Chrome browser. But Chrome Enterprise Premium is the highest management level of Chrome, and so it's reflected in this three-tier strategy. So all of the features that we're going to talk about today really reflect this highest level of management in Chrome. Have you had any customer feedback on the new naming structure?
Yes, I think there is some confusion around the name Chrome Enterprise, but I think every client is looking forward to the features that are coming in Chrome Enterprise Premium and also Chrome Enterprise Core. I think it's a great offering and it's having a big success right now with our clients.
Yeah, we like the new naming strategy here at Strata Prime because it actually represents this graduated model from unmanaged Chrome to managed policies to these zero trust policies that we're going to talk about today. So I think it will actually encourage people to adopt the product because it provides a nice graduated curve.
Yeah, and we all live in the browser now, so it's a great product for enterprises. And you're going to tell us a little bit more about the features, so let's go to that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's break down some of the features here. So the first set of features are going to be enterprise controls.
Yes.
So with Chrome Enterprise Premium, it's an agentless model where using Chrome browser, we can apply zero trust access controls to web applications. And those web applications can be SAML apps. They can also be private web applications that you're running at GCP or AWS or Azure. So anytime you have web application access, Chrome Enterprise Premium can be inserted there to apply zero trust access controls. What kind of controls? These are going to be things like IP address restrictions, country of origin, making sure device is in a certain security posture, or even tying into things like partner signals. So maybe you're using Jamf and managing your MacBooks. You can actually use that Jamf signal to ensure access is appropriate for that web application. The second is going to be protection of actual workloads themselves. So this is going to be SSH and RDP access. So if you're running those workloads at GCP, Chrome Enterprise Premium will provide those same zero trust access controls using multiple device contexts to determine if somebody should be able to SSH to a machine or RDP to a machine. We can also do the same thing at other hyperscalers like AWS and Azure using connectors from Google Cloud. And then lastly, we can protect private applications and applications running at other data centers using the same connector model. So all of your web applications can be protected through Chrome Enterprise Premium. The second category of features is going to be security insights and reporting. So Chrome Enterprise Premium is going to surface a lot of on-device telemetry data so you can see user behavior. If people are encountering risky websites, Google Safe Browsing is going to be generating reports saying that Jose went to a website that he wasn't supposed to, and then we'll get those reports in the admin console and be able to do some risk management and remediation of those users. That dashboard set is also shown here so you can get an idea of the types of things that you'll be able to see. It's an exhaustive list, so we won't take you through everything in this session here today. Lastly, we do need to talk about threat protection and threat prevention, and this is where Chrome Enterprise Premium will give you the ability to lock down user behavior to prevent data exfiltration. Specifically, what Chrome Enterprise Premium includes is the ability to do DLP for web applications. And that DLP can take the form of restricting user behavior. As an example, if we have a user that goes to a web application that might be unsanctioned or shadow IT, we can prevent the user from being able to download or upload files. As we move towards trying to secure browser endpoints, this can be really powerful. I could, as an example, give Jose access to Salesforce, but only in a read-only fashion. If Jose tries to download or upload data, Chrome Enterprise Premium will block that activity because Jose is not permitted to do that. And we could target his specific device. Maybe he's allowed to do it on his Chromebook Plus, but not on a personal device, as an example.
Exactly.
Those DLP controls will also use content analysis and actually can target specific scenarios. So if Jose tries to upload or download a file, but it contains sensitive data like a social insurance number or a social security number, that context could be used to make that use case a little bit more specific to target types of content and maybe allow Jose to look at, upload, or download more benign or safe information. The last aspect of DLP is actually really interesting, and it deals with copy-paste. So now Jose could be working in Salesforce, but we don't want to allow him to be able to copy paste data. Chrome Enterprise Premium can also target those controls and limit those actions. So this threat and protection and zero trust controls really spans everything from just application access to what user behavior can happen, and then encapsulating all of that with a threat and analytics reporting.
All those features are great, and customers are really asking for them. I think the main question I get asked, and we're all being asked, is how does it actually work? How does it look like for an end user and for an IT admin to deploy these things out in the wild in their company? How can they get started? That's their main question right now. What would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. At its core, Chrome Enterprise Premium is an agentless protection system, but it does require a Chrome extension. The endpoint verification extension made by Google is pushed into Chrome browser, and that acts as our on-device agent to collect information. So while it is agentless, we are using the browser to collect this policy information from the device and be able to apply the controls. That's right. So step one would be sign into the Google Admin Console and navigate to Chrome browser controls. And from there, you can start applying base level policies through Chrome Enterprise Core, as Jose said. These would be things like, I want to require my users to update Chrome within 24 hours, right? And you can actually take it as far as forcing a restart of Chrome as an example. And then if you want to play with Chrome Enterprise Premium protection, then you're going to need a license because this is a paid product. But once you have that, then you can apply these conditional access policies and protect GCP workloads like I was talking about. So the deployment is fairly easy. Step one, set up your base Chrome level policies. Step two, push out the endpoint verification extension. Step three, configure your policies in the admin console and things are protected. If you're looking at cross-cloud use cases, there's obviously going to be a bit more networking involved, but we can cover those questions with you. If you have them, please reach out and we're happy to start a discussion on that.
No, that's great, and thank you for lining out the steps. What would you say is one of the main use cases or a couple of the main use cases that you've seen in your clients using Chrome Enterprise Premium? What can you say about that?
Yeah, so I think there's two that come to mind. The first is protecting access to the GCP console.
Okay.
So if you're using Google Cloud for any production workloads, a major kind of risk point is access to the admin console where somebody can spin VMs up and down and make changes to network settings through IAM. And what Chrome Enterprise Premium allows you to do is gatekeep or protect access to the admin console. A user attempting to sign in, they're not on a managed device or on a trusted network, so they're blocked. Now they're returning to the GCP console, but they're on a trusted device or in a trusted network, and they're able to access it. So from a security perspective, what we've eliminated there is somebody doing an impersonation attack, or maybe there was credentials that were exposed for a user, and now we've protected our entire production workloads using this product. And that is a huge box to check for a lot of customers, is protecting the actual GCP console itself.
Yeah.
Now, the second example, which comes a lot from regulated industries, we have a lot of customers in banking, financial services, and healthcare, and they are very concerned with patient data or highly sensitive information types. So they're using the DLP features in Chrome Enterprise Premium to prevent people from downloading sensitive data on device. And the reason that they're doing that is that a lot of these companies may allow a doctor or a physician to access email on a personal device.
Right.
But they don't want to allow that data to be downloaded because if it's a personal device, there may not be on-device DLP, and now you've got a problem with managing that sensitive data. So with Chrome Enterprise Premium, I can say, Dr. Rossi is at home accessing his email, and we will allow him to look at things through Chrome and have access through that one browser to our corporate data, but recognizing that it's a personal device, not allowing it to be downloaded. And then when you're back at the hospital, on a hospital managed device, you're able to download information as you would. And that's a really clear example that we're seeing right now. And a third, if I get one more,
Of course,
would be doing the same with web applications and shadow IT. So shadow IT is a big problem for a lot of companies that we work with. And being able to target unapproved storage systems like Box and Dropbox, and just by policy blocking upload and download, is a major headache reducer for IT managers. Now you can have confidence that your users aren't able to use those shadow IT platforms where that data is not managed, ungoverned, and ultimately they have no control to recover it when the employee leaves the organization. So those are my top three: GCP console, preventing downloads of data to untrusted devices, and then using DLP to target content upload and download. Those are huge.
That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the examples. Pretty good. I think that's exactly what we're seeing in a lot of clients too, and a lot of concern also how the users is using their device in the end, right? And speaking about devices, I think it's a great way to transition into ChromeOS and security in ChromeOS. So we have Chrome Enterprise Premium, we have Chrome Enterprise Core, and Chrome Enterprise in general is what Andrew was talking about to us right now. But how do we go beyond that and really secure the endpoint itself?
So we're going to talk about hardware now.
Exactly, I know. Your favorite topic.
So we're leaving the browser controls realm and entering into the world of hardware.
That's it. And not just hardware, but the operating system itself. Because as you know, Chrome OS can be in Chromebooks, but also in other types of hardware. We'll leave that there as a little spoiler. And we can go into Chrome OS in general, right? And Chromebook Plus as well. We'll touch a little bit on that in the next minutes. But transitioning from that, you mentioned something pretty good there, which is how to control the actions that are being taken on the device. Because we've talked right now about the browser. How do we control the actions that a user is taking on the browser? If we go beyond the browser, and we can see this as a bubble around Chrome Enterprise Premium, we can talk about the security and everything that comes with Chrome OS. So if a user has Chrome Enterprise Premium, and it's also on a Chrome OS device, a Chromebook Plus device like the one we have with us right now, they can really have a great combination of security. For example, and you talked a little bit about controls and DLP and all that. In Chrome OS, there is something known as data controls, which is the fact that the admin can go into the console and say, for example, if the user is in such a URL, you mentioned Salesforce, that's a great example, we will not allow the user to take a screenshot. Something very basic. We can do that with Chrome OS and the Chrome Enterprise upgrade. And once we have that in place and combine it with Chrome Enterprise Premium, it really gives us a full idea of what is possible, right?
I think that's a really powerful set of features to talk about just for a second. So in financial services and healthcare, when we're talking about on-device security, we are often having to deal with the screenshot problem. How do you stop a user from taking a screenshot? And a lot of times this is just an area where we have to do risk acceptance. Accept that a user could take a screenshot, but then try to mitigate that in other ways.
Yep.
The ability on device with Chrome OS to block screenshots contextually in certain applications is a huge problem solver for a lot of different industries. So I just think it's great that you talked to us about that one.
Yeah, and it works as a complement to Chrome Enterprise Premium. It's by no means a substitution. And as you can see in your screen now, you can have examples of how you can block a specific URL but also a type of application. Say if you don't want Android applications to have a screenshot taken of them, you can have that as well. But then you can go a little bit more granular with Chrome Enterprise Premium. That's where they both combine and make the best out of the two solutions. And also there's other actions that can be taken. For example, copy pasting. If you're going from one URL to another, like if you want to copy from Salesforce to Google Docs, you can actually do that with ChromeOS data controls. But of course, as you mentioned, your example of like a social security number and all that, which is more about the content, that can be achieved with Chrome Enterprise Premium. So it's really a good combination in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, the on-device controls are crucial to providing holistic protection. So if you need to take things a step further than the browser controls, ChromeOS is a great idea as an endpoint for those users.
Yep. Now that we're talking about the operating system, ChromeOS, we have 4 different pillars that are the basis of how we operate with ChromeOS and how our clients are using it as well in the enterprise. So we have security, of course, that's one of the most important, if not the most important one. But also we have management. We like to think about IT admins and how they spend their time, especially knowing what they've been doing in the past 20, 25 years and how they've been, put it mildly, suffering through some of the other tools out there. We also take a look at the user, so modern user experiences, not only what we were talking about right now, how the user can operate securely by just doing their work and have these warnings or blockers, just be in place without being in the way. And in the end, all that translates into, how much is the solution going to cost in the end? Not just the cost of the hardware and the licensing, but the time that you're going to be spending on it, how you're going to be supporting it, and overall that volume of work that is required to maintain these devices and the security that has to come with it, right?
Yeah. So I think it's a good time to talk about that there is a lot of fatigue with our IT admin colleagues right now in the industry because of recent events. There's been some major outages with regards to technology that have affected Windows install bases in a very painful way. So in talking to admins, they're just tired. I mean, remediating those events was extremely stressful. A lot of people had to work many, many hours. And the reality is that it could have been avoided. And I definitely don't like taking shots at Microsoft. I myself started my career as a Microsoft admin and kind of went that path and eventually came over to Google. So when I talk to Microsoft admins who may initially push back and be like, oh, we're a Microsoft shop and we do things this way and we're secure, that's fine. But the reality is that there's a new, more modern way to secure endpoints, and it can allow you to avoid these major headaches.
Yeah, and that's a great point because as we saw what happened in the past, a couple of months, I think we've all seen it if we're in the technology industry and how that affected certain companies more than others. We saw it from our clients' perspective as well, and we noticed that Chrome OS and Chromebooks in general just kept on working.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not only because, it was a specific thing that happened to a specific operating system, but it's also because of the design of the operating system and how it goes. So we go from the start, right?
Yep.
From the firmware all the way to the user experience. A read-only operating system, there's no need for antivirus or things like that, and you're secure by default. So we take security from the beginning, from the design all the way to the users, right?
Yeah, and it was about 2 years ago that we did a webinar here in the other Toronto office where we talked about using Google, specifically Google Workspace and Chrome Enterprise, as a disaster recovery strategy. So as part of your business continuity plan. And since the events of the last few months, the number of those conversations that I'm having has increased dramatically. And this is where we're not aiming to replace your Microsoft stack, but we're actually going to stand up in parallel as a hot standby Google Directory with Google Workspace to provide email communications, chat, and video in a very secure way for executives and IT leaders to be able to recover your primary productivity systems. And what many of those companies are also doing is providing Chromebook Plus as the endpoint to access that disaster recovery environment, because now you have a completely air-gapped solution from your directory, your email and chat services, the backbone DNS, and the endpoint, which you can wrap in whatever security requirements that you need. And that's something that a lot of responsible organizations are doing because they're being called to have discussions with the business about why they were down for so long and how long it took to restore primary communications.
Yeah, and you mentioned something very important, which is the fatigue that you called about IT admins, going through all these motions just for securing an endpoint or managing the endpoint. And I think that's also a great difference from the management perspective. When you have devices like this, especially if you combine it with Chrome Enterprise Premium, you have a single console where you're administering your users, your devices, your browsers, and you don't have to go anywhere else.
Yep.
You can connect your reporting security tools through the connectors that exist already, so you can get those insights in the tools that you already own. But you don't have to deal with all these different platforms just to have someone be secure while they're doing their work. So that's a great advantage as well.
Yeah, and for my Microsoft admin friends that are out there, if you're an established Active Directory admin or Exchange admin, you will find yourself at home in the Google Admin Console very, very quickly. It's very, very similar in how we use groups and OUs to assign policies. So for an AD admin, it's usually just an hour of training and they're up and running. And for those that want to more seriously approach this body of knowledge, there's actually a professional level certification called ChromeOS Administrator, which I highly recommend. It's a great opportunity to get some Google swag as well.
That's it. All that is great. You mentioned Chromebook Plus, and before we go into that, I just wanted to mention two things pretty quickly. For those of you who are already administering Chromebooks in the Google Admin Console, we have new dashboards that are coming up. Some of you have probably seen them, and all that is going to be powered by AI, which is also a great trend that we see in Chromebooks right now. And the second thing is also about management. We've noticed with our clients, and we've run the numbers, and they're telling us, hey, if we compare, 50-50 Google devices, Chromebooks, and Windows in the same environment, we're getting a lot less tickets of support for the Chromebooks, which again translates into what we were saying. You need less time and effort to manage these devices while being more secure than in other platforms. So it's a win-win for everyone, and I think a lot of people are just a little bit insecure at how they can get started in testing this
right.
platform. And that's where Strata Prime can come in and actually help clients and start with those tests and see what's good, what's not working, what might need to be changed, right?
It's even starting with something as simple as a business case. So when we're helping companies evaluate Chrome, there's obviously the technical evaluation piece to make sure that you're meeting the security requirements, and the fleet management components like the dashboards are a great example of that. But also just looking at total cost of ownership, right? So device cost, support costs are typically about 90% less on Chrome Enterprise devices, because you're not dealing with hardware imaging costs. The average Windows device is also touched 1 to 2 times a year. So we can actually sit down and look at your people costs around this and help you understand what you will save from a bigger operational perspective around Chrome. And that is not about eliminating positions in IT. It's about freeing up the time of those administrators to work on higher value tasks like threat analytics, threat prevention, and reporting, as opposed to doing lower level tasks of just managing hardware.
So why don't we switch gears and go into Chromebook Plus, right? The reason I want to do that is because a lot of our clients saw the announcement of Chromebook Plus that came out about a year ago, but we're still getting questions. What is it? Who is it for? How does it work? Is it different from other devices already with ChromeOS? And I think it's a great question, and the answer is no. It's not different. It has more performance. So how we can look at Chromebook Plus is a label or a category of devices that are really aimed for high performance. There are minimum requirements that every Chromebook Plus device will have, such as the processor, the RAM, the camera, and the display, right? So that can tell us if we're looking for something advanced and premium in the Chromebook world, that's where we can go with Chromebook Plus devices.
Does it require a different management license?
Nope, and that's a great question too. The same licenses that you use for Chromebook management right now are the same licenses you will use for managing Chromebook Plus devices. And the same console as well, the same policies, everything applies. All the security controls that we were talking about before, all those DLP and data controls are also available on Chromebook Plus devices. It's just about the performance that you're gonna get out of it, and of course the feeling of using that device in different settings.
Are there any premium features that are available on the device that won't be on a regular Chromebook?
Yes, and that's another exciting topic because Some of those features are AI related.
Okay.
And as you know, we've been pushing hard for AI in all of our platforms, and ChromeOS is no difference. So Chromebook Plus is actually the platform where Google has decided that we're going to put AI on device. That and of course the Pixel phones, right? So when you're using a Chromebook Plus devices, you are getting features related to AI that any Chromebook that is not Plus will not be getting. That's very important to know. Now, it's good to mention that all of these features, generative AI and all that, are controlled by the admin. So whenever the Chromebook is enrolled into a console, the admin can decide if they are going to allow the users to use this generative AI features or not. That's very important from the admin perspective.
Yeah, AI security is a very hot topic right now. So the ability to have that granular admin control by OU or group to allow or disable access to the features is huge.
Yeah.
But I think what's actually more interesting than that is that you said that these models are running on device.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is that in highly regulated industries, there's oftentimes certain role classifications where you'd like to empower somebody with AI, but you're not doing that because you want to meet certain security thresholds of not having data transmitted to a cloud. So it's on device.
Yes, correct. And we'll go through some of the features. And what you will notice also from an admin perspective, again, is that you can decide how, if you're allowing it, how that feature is going to be used. For example, you'll notice that you have either allowed the use and allow Google to learn from the use of that model, but you also have the option to not allow that. So there's also some gray areas where you can work with as an admin, depending on what kind of industry you are. So for example, you mentioned if highly regulated industries will probably decide to do not share any data.
Yep.
And just have the model run on device, which is already a great deal with for people using Chromebook Plus devices.
Amazing. I think that's a great tool for admins to know that they can use generative AI technology, but not be dependent on any cloud or third-party cloud to provide that service.
That's right. So now you have different AI features all across the platforms that you're using. You mentioned Workspace, and we have Gemini for Workspace right there. We mentioned the Google Admin Console. You're going to have, and this is coming, you're going to have AI right in the console to help you with different actions that you need to perform, or just to learn about your devices and your fleet in general. And then we have the AI on the device that is very useful for end users doing their work day to day.
Amazing. Well, Jose, thank you very much for joining us today to talk about Chrome security and Chromebook Plus. I learned a lot, especially with regards to AI running on device. I think that's tremendously exciting. To everybody who joined us today, thank you as well. We'll be posting more videos soon, so please stay tuned.